So T. Jagannathan now joins us. Let's understand that Atmanirbhar Bharat, and if India has to really become self-reliant, then what will happen to a sector where we know that right now a lot of Indian companies essentially are importing from China, and then they are branding the products here, and then they are assembling and selling them here. Mr. Jagannathan, good morning. Thank you for joining us. The sector which you represent has seen lot of companies now relying to imports from China. They import white goods from China, they assemble them in India, they brand them and then sell it through the distribution chain. If indeed Atmanirbhar Bharat has to be adopted and if India has to become self-reliant, do you think it's high time that we start moving manufacturing or dependence of white good manufacturing away from China to India?
I am not an expert on white goods, so I really can't comment. But in the kitchen appliance segment, a lot of small appliances are imported from China. But slowly we have ramped up domestic capacity. We need to set up the ecosystem. That's where government has to come in.
Okay. Could you broadly tell us that this area which you represent, which is the kitchen appliance, what is India's current total import, and at TTK, as percentage of your total sales, how much is coming from China?
Currently at TTK it's about 10%, and we've decided to put a full stop to it by September 30th. Thereafter it will be zero.
Okay. Why is that Indian companies are importing from China? Is it largely because of quality, or is it availability plus it is also pricing?
It's pricing because of two things. One is scale. The Chinese do think it's massive scale because they given money by government. They take a company called Galans. They make microwave pressure cook, microwave ovens. They make 5 million ovens a year. The total demand in India is 300,000. How can we compete in terms of price, in terms of technology and innovation? We don't have the ecosystem. We do have the ecosystem, for instance, in bicycles. We have the ecosystem in underwear and so on. But we don't have the ecosystem in appliances.
Sure. So, Mr. Jagannathan, are you saying that this self-dependence, self-reliance can just not happen at all, or do you think it will take time, but it is a possibility?
It is certainly a possibility. It will require a nudge from government.
In terms of incentivizing?
Not only
because the government has made it pretty clear that they want companies to become Atmanirbhar.
By making that statement, it won't become Atmanirbhar. A lot of things on the ground have changed. For instance, China gives 17% incentives on their export. That will have to be put a duty in India so that the prices are matching. That is one. Second, we've got archaic labor laws. I have a factory right now where people are saying, no, I will work 2 hours, you pay me 10 hours wages. Otherwise, we go on strike. We've got very archaic labor laws. China is very clear. Government fixes wages, everybody works. The productivity of Chinese labor is 3 times that of India.
Yeah, absolutely. Besides labor laws, Mr. Jagannathan, what else can be done from the government's end to try and make, not just your sector, but across India Inc. be a little more self-reliant and self-dependent?
Like I said, we need a government push. Government actually has to get involved, not making statements like become Atmanirbhar. You don't become Atmanirbhar by making a statement. There are a lot of laws. There are land acquisition law. In China, there is truly a single window. You go there, they arrange everything. They arrange the land, they arrange the labor, they arrange everything for you. In India, you have to go from department to department, and everybody there believes that they're the boss. So they're doing you a favor. It should be the reverse. I set up a small distribution company in America, in Virginia, employing 8 people, and the governor gave me lunch. You think anything like that happened in India?
So then what is the bottom line here? Everybody we've spoken to from the Indian manufacturing sector seems to be echoing your sentiment that just by announcing Atmanirbhar or self-reliance will not happen. You have to change the labor laws, you'll have to change the cost of capital, land acquisition also has to be very easy. So do you think while the attempt to make India self-reliant is important, but in reality it may not really translate into something great because in India it's not feasible? I mean, every country has a unique advantage. Unfortunately, in manufacturing, we don't have an advantage. Should we accept that?
Problem is that if Modi was the chief minister of every state, it would happen. In Gujarat, it's happening. But unfortunately, Modi sits in the center and the industries, all these laws come under states. There's got to be some kind of constitutional amendment. I don't know what to do.
Okay. Why is it India has not also become an export hub, for let's say kitchen appliances? Why is that we've not been able to do what auto industry has done or what pharma industry has done? I mean, auto is a very complex piece of machinery. It involves a lot of supply chain, yet Indian auto companies are world class. Pharma, extreme use of data, a lot of dependence on supply chain, and India pharma companies are flourishing. Why is that we don't have that similar success story in, let's say, kitchen appliances or white goods or even brown goods?
Reasons. One is kitchen appliances are highly labor intensive, and with the labor laws being what they are, we can never be competitive. That is point number one. Point number two is we don't have the ecosystem. Our scale is very small. The Chinese have over a period of time given free capital. I know one Chinese manufacturer who set up a die casting unit. He's straight away set up 80 machines. We've been in the business for 80 years. We've got 2 machines.
Fair point. Now that we've got a sense from you about which way, the Atmanirbhar whole campaign from the government is moving and what are the challenges which could really come on the way, let's talk about what's happening to your company and to your business. Has demand come back? Has demand for your products and for your appliances which you sell, has that gone back to pre-COVID levels?
What is surprising is in the markets that are open, they're 10% higher than last year. Only the markets that are open, of course.
I just missed the last part. I'm sorry. I was not able to get the last part. You were commenting on markets were over and then we lost your audio there.
In markets that are open, we are selling 10% more than last year. Of course, the modern format is not open because they're on in malls. Okay. Part of Delhi is lockdown, part of Bombay is lockdown, part of Maharashtra is lockdown. There are a lot of lockdowns, but in markets that are open, we're doing very well.
Okay, so how's the aggregate picture looking like? One side, markets which are open, demand is higher. On the other side, markets which are closed, obviously transactions are not happening. So if you have to share the aggregate picture with us, the sum total of the big picture, where do you stand?
For the month of June, we are flattish to last year. But April was fully closed, May were partly closed. For the quarter, we still expect to make a profit.
Okay. Do you think that one should not get carried away on the initial burst of demand which every company is reporting, and this really could be the lockdown rush, and once this initial rush or the panic buying stops, demand will start faltering again? Or do you think demand is back and demand is here to stay? What I'm trying to understand from you, sir, is a lot of companies are saying that we've gone to pre-COVID levels. And my follow-up question is that, is this a panic buying, is this a demand rush, or this demand is back and it's here to stay?
I honestly don't know. You could be right. It could be demand rush. It could be pent-up demand. But it could be that people are back to the market. I really don't know. We'll have to wait and see over the next 3 months.
In the category which you represent, pressure cooker, kitchen appliances, some would argue that this is an interesting category because this is a category which largely is a necessary driven category. If you need a kitchen appliance, you need a kitchen appliance. There is no replacement. If you need a pressure cooker to cook food, you need a pressure cooker to cook food. You cannot delay that purchase. How do you see consumer trends shaping up in the kitchen appliance category?
One thing that has happened is over the last 3 months, people are cooking more because they're stuck in their homes. Also, they have no help, so they themselves are cooking. So now, for instance, blunt knives have been replaced with sharp knives. About old mixie has been replaced with new mixies. A lot of attention is being spent on the kitchen. So we expect the demand to stay up at least for the next 3 months.